The Great Kingdom didn't disappear, and it's not just trapped under the sea, it's trapped instead within the Abyss itself. The powerful nation that ruled over the Void Century is inside of a void. But how did it get there? What else is in there? And more importantly, how are characters like Luffy or Blackbeard ever gonna harness the power of the Abyss to claim the One Piece from hell itself? Alright, let's really get into this, because in classic Manu fashion, this one also sounds kind of crazy on its own, so how exactly did I ever arrive at this conclusion? Well, while seeing Imu finally scrap with Luffy now, my mind kind of kept going back to what the actual plan here on Elbaf really is. Especially also thinking about Imu's comment about the children being Elbaf's weakness and tying that to the Void Century, and that's pretty much what I recall the whole great plan that Super Summers here is trying to get going right now, which is to get some of the Giant's ships, toss a bunch of kids in there as hostages, and then take those ships and sail all the way back to Marijua across the, like, half the planet, basically. Which, you know, is a little bit of a roundabout way to actually do things, especially when all the Holy Knights just teleported over to Elbaf with these giant demonic summoning circles. But that's exactly it. They can't bring the giants through there. The only way anyone can safely travel the Abyss, apparently, is if they have one of the Covenant marks. The Abyss truly seems to be Imu's domain. Now, the entire Covenant thing gets a little bit weird in Japanese. You could also just translate them as contracts, but one possible translation for the highest level of the Covenants is even called the Abyssal Covenant or the Abyssal Contract, and it kind of seems like all of these, like, Imu's Devil Fruit's powers are kind of connected to the Abyss in some way or another. I mean, they all seem to show those black flames that are the trademark of the Abyss, whether it's coming from the Summoning Circle, whether the Domi Reversi victims are getting pulled into it, or even when it's the Omen that Imu shapes attacks from or empowers his own allies with. But even when Imu isn't there, some of Gunko's attacks, or even Shamrock's Cerberus sword, have been cloaked in Omen or Abyss flames, whatever is actually tied to the flames. And I've kind of been wondering for literal months at this point, like really ever since the Gorosei pulled up on Naked Island, what exactly is the Abyss even? Like, is it just a method of transportation or teleportation? Is it a power system? Or is it like an actual place? A dimension that Imu and the others can actually travel through? I mean, it would almost function a little bit like Blueno's door fruit, where you're traveling through a dimension overlaid on the real world, or kind of beneath it in a sense, right? And obviously it seems like the Abyss circles get you to your destination pretty much instantaneously, but I think there's a pretty strong chance that you could just go poking around in there too if you wanted to and stay in that alternate dimension. And if that were to be the case, then maybe it's also a dimension that Imu actually draws his power from directly. Now, this is an idea that I've already talked to you about before a little bit, and it's something that I've seen other creators do, like, in a similar way, that the Abyss might be something like the One Piece version of the underworld itself, basically, right? A realm of darkness layered beneath the true real world. In fact, for a while now, I've kind of wanted to make a whole video about what the actual Abyss is and how it got there. My team and I have kind of discussed a whole lot of really interesting options. I'm personally kind of partial to the idea that there could just be a whole civilizations, the remnants of the first world, inside the crust of the planet, kind of like a hollow earth theory thing, since Oda seems to really be digging all these, you know, conspiracy theory thingies. Some other people in the Ohara team think that it could have been what was created when the Forbidden Sun finally burned out or was overused. Al's like, that's why it was forbidden, basically. It could also just be a straight up underworld or hell, or even something like the Adola from Fire Force, which again feels very, like, eerily similar to what's happening in One Piece. Like, for real, if you've not seen Fire Force, especially the ending, I think it's got a very weird amount of One Piece parallels, to the point where a lot of the ending could, like, straight up be very similar in certain ways. Like, the demon forms that are pulled out in Domi Reversi could just be the Abyss version, like the parallel versions of characters trading places with their light world counterparts. Where it could be that Imu is doing an actual liberation here again, you know, where they liberate the Shadow or Abyss versions, like parallel versions of the characters. But just to avoid any further spoilers for the series, I just say go check out Fire Force sometime and really think about the first, second, and third world while you do it. And it kind of, like, seems to fit quite crazily. Anyways, the point isn't even to focus on what the Abyss is or how it got there. Instead, this video is all about what might be in it. And what it could be is, well, for one, the Ohara Patreon, where you can hear my early reactions for each chapter and chat with me and other patrons about them too. But also, more importantly, the Great Kingdom might be in there, because it finally occurred to me that this is where the Great Kingdom could have actually gone, into the void. Ooh, there's like some construction going on. I hope it doesn't pick up on my mic. I think we're fine. Sorry for that if it does. Honestly, I'm a little bit surprised it took me this long to make the connection, right? Void Century, the Abyss, a void basically being another word for the Abyss, because where did the Great Kingdom actually go? Like, Vegapunk tells us that parts of the old world were actually left at the bottom of the seafloor as the world flooded, but does that actually make sense for this, like, entire kingdom? After all, we know there are fishmen and, like, whole fish civilizations in this world who just hang out at the bottom of the ocean all the time, and sure, like, they do find ruins and even poneglyphs and whatnot from time to time, like we see in Jinbei's cover story, but between them and all the salvagers trying to uncover treasures at the depth of the ocean, no one's ever seen something that could be called a great, technologically crazy advanced kingdom. Like, no way. Emu wanted this place gone. Like, gone. And what happens to places that Emu wants gone? Well, as we know, they're not exactly just flooded, they are wiped from the map entirely. A place like the Lulusia Kingdom didn't just get submerged. After Emu struck it with the weapon that we're just still assuming is Uranus, though it might be something else, the place where it used to be is just this gaping hole in the middle of the ocean. A hole, an abyss, a literal void. And the same thing seems to be the case for this weird site on Enies Lobby, just a giant gaping hole to seemingly nowhere. So might that be the spot where the Great Kingdom used to be? Like, that's of course part of the greatest One Piece theory you'll ever watch we did a couple of years ago, where, you know, the idea was basically that Laugh Tale or the Great Kingdom might be under whatever is at Enies Lobby. Or are there maybe even more giant holes around the world's ocean for every place that Emu in the past has wanted to erase from history? If so, then that crazy mystery weapon might not actually be something that destroys places, as in nuking it with a laser. It might be much more like a transporter that sends whatever it shoots straight to hell. That could very well explain why it's so hard to recover any historical records of this location, because the Great Kingdom was literally just transported to a whole different dimension, kind of like the Shadow Realm, like Yugi's grandpa, right? And they'd have to do some real cleaning up of the records outside the kingdom, including submerging a whole lot of other kingdoms that might go spilling the secret. Though, to be fair, at this point, I kind of feel like the flooding of the One Piece world wasn't even Emu's fault. They seem to be, like, scared of the ocean. But every remaining bit of the Great Kingdom itself might have just been sent to the Abyss directly, maybe right alongside with Davy D. Jones himself, potentially. Davy Jones's locker. After all, it's pretty likely that he was the king or ruler of the Great Kingdom back in the day, so maybe he is still locked in there, and Emu is using the Abyss as his own personal prison. That could be why the Davy clan members, like Rox and Blackbeard, have it out for Emu, because it's not just that they want to tear down the false king and restore their own family's place at the top of the world. They might actually have their ancestor and other clan members imprisoned and want to set them free. Maybe you remember this. In a video a while back, I actually speculated that this is why Rox Xebec randomly might have attacked one of the Gates of Justice in the flashback, if you remember that. Like, those gates could actually have some connection to the Abyss, locking something away, these ancient gates, right? Or the Abyss could be trapping the massive beings that used to live in the One Piece planet, swinging around massive swords as the ones we see on Elbaf or Onigashima, or the harp that we've now got on Asperia, making even the ancient giants kind of look like ants. No, even smaller, baby ants. I've been calling those beings Titans in my past videos, since they probably got, like, supplanted by the 4 gods, and I do know how much Oda actually draws from mythology, including Greek mythology, so I could totally see them actually being called the Titans once we actually get there, and that could also help explain what exactly Blackbeard's plan might be. Or I should say, Rox's plan, which his son then inherited after Eris told him about it. Because Rox's plan was always to defeat and dethrone Emu, right? He broke into the flower room and told Emu, "I'll be back." He just wasn't ready that day. And in order to actually defeat Imu, he had this whole plan that he put in motion, and it kind of hinged on him finding two particular devil fruits. One, of course, would seem to have been the national treasure of Elbaf, the Nidhogg fruit, which he wanted his best bro Harold to eat. Now, to be 100% honest with you, I'm still not really sure why this fruit specifically was on this list, but the fact that Imu seems to have a really close personal history with the Nidhogg, and its current user is kind of immune to Domi Reversi, like, definitely helps, making it seem very important. And while I don't know for sure what the other one is, I do think we can make a very logical guess that it might have been the Yami Yami no Mi, because that fruit was just everything to Blackbeard, like the entire centerpiece of his big plan. He spent decades on Whitebeard's ship, biding his time, waiting for his plan to start, just waiting for that specific fruit to present itself and not being able to do anything until he got his hands on it. And at his very first opportunity, he killed a crew member without hesitation to get it and finally started putting his master plan into motion. All of his scheming, building his crew, ascending to the status of emperor, taking over Hachinosu, like none of it would have meant anything apparently if he didn't get the Yami Yami no Mi first, so I'm kind of almost positive that this was the other piece of the plan that Rox had. Though part of me of course also suspects that Rox's plan was a little bit incomplete and he actually also needed Luffy's fruit as well in the end, because Luffy and Teach's fruits kind of seem to be opposite but related in some ways. I don't really know that it's going to be a situation where Blackbeard secretly turns out to be the moon god, like I did float that idea at some point, but moon god or not, really think about it. Luffy is the sun god. He provides light. And Blackbeard kind of seems to be the opposite, right? Darkness, snuffing light out, only that one of Teach's signature techniques is of course black hole and the entire attraction gravity thing. And really, what is a black hole but a collapsed sun? Right? Just like the tales of Elbaf describe Nika as both a liberator and a destroyer, and the first world ending in fire and darkness. Blackbeard is quite literally those things as well, sucking things into his big black hole and then using a technique actually called liberation to set those things back out into the real world, but kind of also destroying them in the process. Like, there's definitely something of a yin-yang thing going on with Blackbeard and Luffy, and I can absolutely see being one solution to taking out Imu, like those two teaming up before then turning back on each other for the One Piece. Okay, but how does all of this tie into the Great Kingdom and the One Piece potentially being in the Abyss? Well, Luffy's fruit is of course not on Blackbeard's list of essential ones to collect as far as we know right now. He's had multiple opportunities when he probably could have claimed it if he knew it was so important. So if not the Sun God fruit, why the Darkness fruit of all fruits? Well, this is where we get back on track, because Blackbeard's Darkness fruit is essentially just a fruit of the Abyss as well, right? Like, really think about it for a moment. When we see the Abyss, what does it actually look like? Black flames, right? And when Blackbeard uses his darkness, what does it look like? That's right, it's more black flames. So on one hand, it could just be a fighting fire with fire situation where Teach just gave Imu a taste of their own medicine, right? Partner that with Teach's ability to negate other devil fruit abilities, and his chances in that fight kind of start looking real sweet for him. He's kind of like optimizing his chances against Imu. But I also feel like it might go way deeper than just that, because I do feel that Teach is drawing his power directly from the Abyss, just like Imu might be. Like, think about how Imu might have this weird relationship with all other devil fruits, and then Blackbeard has a very unique and weird relationship to all devil fruits, where his body is like more susceptible to damage, but he's also able to just cancel any devil fruit power, which is insane. And for all we know, it might even be possible for Blackbeard to actually travel into his pocket dimension, into the Abyss himself, not just through the Abyss to get to new destinations like the Holy Knights with their summoning circles, but actually go into the Abyss itself, potentially to find and free his ancestor, Davy Jones, or potentially even to find the Ancient Kingdom or the One Piece itself, because in order to find the One Piece, you might just need to go to hell and back. Because let's be real, if the Great Kingdom is in the Abyss, you know what else is probably in there? Laugh Tale, right? The final island of the Grand Line isn't on the Grand Line at all, it was in the underworld all along. Really think about Laugh Tale. A, why is it so dang hard to find if it's just out there at sea somewhere, like why does nobody just randomly stumble across it, right? B, why doesn't the log post work? Why would you need the 4-road poneglyphs for it? Because even if they each have coordinates written on them and you need to, like, I don't know, triangulate the location on a map, if it's in the Grand Line, you wouldn't be able to sail there anyways because you can't navigate regularly. In other words, the road poneglyphs must have to have some other type of direction other than just be sail north, oh, go to this place. Instead, I feel like it's probably going to be more like a magical Lost Woods type of situation, like you can only go to the special place if you have the map. Sorry, I've kind of got the Ocarina of Time remake on my brain recently. C, where else is there left to go at this point? Luffy has flown to the sky, he's plunged to the bottom of the ocean. Having Laugh Tale just be a regular different island like so many we've seen, like, doesn't really feel right. So I could see it being somewhere like outer space, right? Like Moon Piece or something. But Enel's up on the moon right now, and I didn't see like a single One Piece in his cover story as far as I'm concerned. But putting the final island itself in the underworld, that we know is a real place, like Brook drawing its power from there too, that's got some sauce to it. And if Laugh Tale and the ultimate treasure are in the underworld, how exactly is the crew ever supposed to get there? Besides, you know, just following the poneglyph's directions. Well, I do think the Straw Hats might need one last upgrade to their ship because the Thousand Sunny was built for water, not for the abyssal flames of hell. And the perfect ship, both for countering Emu and his ancient weapon, as well as descending into the underworld, that would be none other than the mighty Pluton, named after the god of death, which the Straw Hats have access to in a couple of ways actually, both through their connection to Wano, where the old Pluton lies hidden and sleeping, and also Frankie having read and kept safe the blueprints for Pluton in the past, making it theoretically possible for him to build a new one. Little treat for you here, I'm actually gonna release a video very soon where we talk a little bit more about this idea in a different context, but it's actually another connection I'm surprised that I've never made before, because Pluton, named after Pluto, the Roman god of the underworld, like it's basically just called the ship of hell, right? So what better use for it than navigating the flaming seas of the abyss? But Manu, you're now screaming and hollering. If the Straw Hats need Pluton, then how did Roger reach Laugh Tale with the Oro Jackson? And that's an excellent question that I can answer fairly easily, luckily, because who built the Oro Jackson again? Remind me. Oh yeah, that's right. Tom, who had the Pluton blueprints in his possession for literal decades before he then finally passed them on to Iceberg and Frankie. And while he definitely didn't just build the Oro Jackson into a second Pluton, probably, he absolutely could have included the Helldiver feature of Pluton, or you know what, like second explanation for this completely hypothetical scenario, the egg. You know, whatever hatched from that massive thing, yeah, it might have just got like something like a hell shield or something. Yeah, like underworld egg or something. But what I really love about this idea actually of the Straw Hats going to hell and back is how it works thematically. I mean, Luffy already overcame death once, but actually journeying to the underworld itself, that's just epic 101, and not epic like cool, epic like an epic poem about a legendary adventure. Because I've just been feeling for years, and so have a lot of other people, that One Piece is kind of like a modern Odyssey, a huge seafaring adventure with monsters and powerful pirates and fighters and warriors and kingdoms. And as you're sure to see soon in Chris Nolan's big movie version of the Odyssey, or if you've, read it, one of Odysseus' ultimate challenges is going to the underworld and surviving to tell the tale. In fact, the concept of physically going into the underworld and coming back alive is so common in world mythologies, it even has its own term, catabasis. There are just tons of examples in Greco-Roman mythology alone, but there are also stories from Mesopotamian, Norse, Hindu, Buddhist, Japanese mythologies, and so many more. Catabasis is truly present in mythology from literally all across the world, and all throughout the story of One Piece, Oda has been pulling from all of these mythologies too. So in addition to the flood myth, which also exists around the entire world in almost all cultures, what better cherry on top to all this than to have his hero journey into the underworld for the climax of the adventure, like so many myth heroes have done before him. Not to mention that, again, we've already had confirmation that the underworld does seem to exist as a real place in One Piece, because sure, Zoro's called the King of Hell, but Brook seems to draw his real ice powers from the underworld. I'm pretty sure that Venus Juro, the Gorosei, does the same thing too, and so many of the Straw Hats have these demonic underworld connections, right? Like there's Sanji's Diable Jamble, or like the Ifrit thing. Robin's Demonio Fleur, Usopp's Tengu, right? And having the crew actually fight to the underworld to claim their prize would kind of give them a chance for their darkest side to come out in full force as well. Also, another couple of random facts that might kind of work for this theory, you know, when Blackbeard uses Liberation, where he like unleashes stuff that he's absorbed into his void dimension, what comes out? An entire freaking town. Then, of course, we have Vegapunk, who talked about how the war against the world government is ongoing and never really ended, and that might be metaphorical, but it might also mean that if the entire, like, Great Kingdom is just kind of phased out of existence into another dimension and then comes back, that maybe the people who live there might still very much be fighting Imu in the Abyss and might be fighting against Imu once they come back into the real world, right? Either way, if you're not fully convinced about these supposed demon connections, I do explain a lot more of them in this video right here. You should really check it out. It's very relevant and interesting, I think, for the story going forward. Either way, otherwise, thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much to all of our Patreons. I really hope, you have a great week, and I will see you in the next video.